Good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with the 147th episode of Book of Hours, playing as the artist, and we are improving our skills, specifically skills with our overflow lessons. So we're currently working on desires and dissolutions, and we will also level up rights of the roots. And then while we do that, I might still kind of push along with some of the other work. So for instance, the manner in which the alchemist was spared would allow us to improve Anbury and Lapidary. And that's a fairly low cost. It's a fairly low cost one for us to level up. So I might do something with that, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. Clearly, we have other things that we are getting up to right now. So I believe I needed 4 more memories to level up desires and dissolutions. We'll actually put that in the rank here because we're gonna put this all the way up to level 9. So what we're looking for are Grail and Moon memories, and I have already decided that with Mrs. Kill, it doesn't really matter if she gives us more memories that are relevant to desires and dissolutions. I need to generate these 4 memories, but these are also pretty easy for me to do because I'm not going to have to worry about duplicates if I do things like confounding parables. So we did the Devoured Tantra. Here we'll do the Serenity of the Black Wood. Soul's Labors, what do I want? Sorry, I need a minute to decide. I'm going to use health on this one. So Moth Consequence, I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. We'll go to the Pale Desk. So for that, I will get the contradiction. So we read the Book of Thrones last, so now we'll read Honey the Comprehensive Guide. So that'll get me a moon. So we read the Crossing to Noon, so now we'll read The Sea Does Not Regret. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. And then I believe I wanted a Beguiling Melody, so we can get that from... We'll use the Vagabond Desk for this. And we read the Malsker work before, Intimations of Skin, so we will now read the Morphe Codex. A priestess of the Sisterhood of the Knot claims to have discerned the true meaning of the Thunderskin's birth. Now, in addition to all of the skills that I plan on leveling up, there are actually a few other things that I've been meaning to do in Hush House for a while now. And again, it largely just comes down to trying to coming up with a game plan in terms of just allowing me to do all the things at once. And there is something kind of nice. The other design behind this, and I don't want to be too upfront about it, because sometimes it's just nice to, have it seem like it appears naturally. But every once in a while, I do consciously decide. This game is very good for generating some coincidences, but some of the coincidences are kind of a function of me saying, okay, well, I don't need this thing right now, and I know I'm probably going to run into an event that's relevant to that later, so if I just leave this thing, to happen naturally, I can use that as the trigger to say, okay, now we're going to follow up on this thing. It may not 100% make sense in terms of what I'm, what I'm saying right now may not quite make sense, but I can... If you know to look for it, you'll see it, right? Like in some cases, if you have, okay, so such and such refers to, well, actually here would be a good example. We now have unlocked the oubliette. So if there was something to refer to the oubliette, I know what's down here. So if I were to happen to have a book that refers to it, maybe that would be a time where I could say, okay, that's a decent reason for me to open up the oubliette now. That would be kind of an example of something like that. But again, I don't want to deliberately sandbag the playthrough just to be able to do that. But yeah, in some cases, there are some things I'm sitting on just because there are other priorities, and there may be opportunities for me to have just a nice little moment which connects the idea in a more natural way. Okay, Ascendant Harmony, a bright and ringing music which evokes the blue sweep of the lower heavens.
There
tising be no tizer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. I think we can talk with Dr. Aaron Peel. The day, the night, and here we are again in the day. Marvelous. So, I am kind of curious. This is a tough one because... So there was a Tantra... It's got to be about the Thunderskin, surely. Or maybe I don't have that many of them. Leonine Tantra is... Okay, Ashley Phillips. But there's a reference to Aaron, but it specifically does not mention Aaron Peel. I'm curious if he has any thoughts on this. Let's maybe just go from the bottom up. So, collected Hush House lectures is one that... I forgot I'd written in the third history. Well, well. Can I take a look? I'll keep my gloves on. Peel will examine the book and return it to you. He won't leave until his other business is concluded. So that gives me a chance to look at some of the others. Kanishka the Spider's Door, Deaths and Their Evasions. Right, that's Schaller. You know that Oriflammes was established in the same year as the Mask of Masks, but not the same history, so it's probably a coincidence. Come closer, though, and I'll whisper you a footnote. Oh, that's a nice way of getting a wormwood dream. Okay. So we do actually want to give him what he was looking for, but I really wish I could find... I'm actually going to take a minute here. So Samuel Savage, Mech, Monica Medina. This is Thirza Blake, but it doesn't say it. Roaring Richard, Ashley Phillips, Juliana Zawadzowski, who we have a recording of, Viennese Conundra Van Driel, Cassius the Tommen, Pavel Shugla, Thomas Arbella Dusk. I don't recall if we have a name for the Geminiad author. Niels Frederick Malsker, CROD, Nathaniel Darcy Evers, Joel of the Bridge, Nigala of Lagash, Alexander Peter Hans, more Samuel Savage, Mac. Okay, sorry, we already did these. Alexander Probst. No, Liberatus doesn't say the initials here. Abelard Hubris, Broadnax, Garcia Sauri, Barrowchild, Franklin Bancroft, Collar's secretary, Christopher Alopoli. Was it Gregory Willoff or Walter DeWolf that wrote this? I can't remember. That's Wheelock, okay. Commander, this one was Dr. Aaron Peel. Ah, okay. Not to everyone's taste, I know. A prophet is without honor in his own country, as the saying has it, and I'm pretty much from everywhere these days, so I suppose no one will ever really take me seriously again. Mind if I take a look? I can point out a couple of the better bits, and I'll keep my gloves on. Peel will examine the book and return it to you. He won't leave until his other business is concluded. I'm kind of curious if I give him the... Interesting. The gloss version. I've been trying to get my hands on this edition for quite some time. Once I have it, I can decide if I need to get my hands on Young Alopoli. I'll give you a Spintria for it? No, I am not willing to give up the book, but... I am actually very curious about what his opinion of the glosses are. Here and here. And the editor tried to take that bit out, so I arranged a motivational sort of dream. Worth it. Dang. Alright, Horizon Sight. I haven't really been using this that much, but on a clear autumn day, the story goes, you can see Ys from the Watchman's Tower. I don't know whether that's true, but on a clear day in Numa, you could see the city unbuilt. Dr. Brian Levinson. Okay. Ooh. That's full of surprises. Okay, I have to see. Does he have an opinion of Philopoli? Okay, no, he doesn't. Cardia's Delight, Abbot Jeffrey, Burzgash, Alexander Sparrow. I can't see why Peel would be Alexander Sparrow, but worth checking. Geminiad, Robert Flood or Pseudo Flood, Alopoli, the Ghoul, Nathaniel Darcy Evers, Sister Isabel, okay, St. Lucia the Eyeless, Moralopoli, Lars Westergren, Thomas, Teresa Galmier, Samuel Savage, Schaller, Ava DeWolf, Musgrave DeWolf, Aunt Mopsy, Isaac of Karth. Okay, Hokabald. Does Peel have an opinion of Hokabald? Menage the Victor, Larry Yivny, Cal, Endeavor Club. Can't see why he would be attached. Alexander Probst, Bancroft. My apologies for the... Oh, this would have been a good one to show Cosley. David DeWolf, Walter DeWolf, Michael Blockley, Willem Aries, Ryan of Brittany. Or no, that's gifted to him. More, or this is The Prisoner, but that's wouldn't be Peel's time. Okay. Valentine DeWolf. I don't think we have an author for this. This is someone associated with the duties. Little Sophia. Natalia Brulot. Brown Josh, well found, but Brown Joshua. Mech, again. Nin. Did you say? Allegedly Ava DeWolf. Whoever does the ink books. Barrowchild. Apollo Fireweaver. Solomon Husher. Anonymous, possibly. Priest of the DeWolfs. Kurenai, Julian Cosley. I really should have tried more of these books with Julian Cosley. I think it was just the fact that the text with the Newman didn't do anything. All right, Illopoli, Fiona Ayrshire, Teresa Galmier. Does not say who the author is. Ernestine Peterhans, Ambrose Westcott. Riley Gresto. Excuse me. Actually, I'm curious about one other thing. Okay. Burzgash, again, Collar Secretary. Unknown, Athena Vanna, Niels Frederick Malsker, Eusebia, Eason Feckery, here's a Blake, Black Ellie, Unknown, Nuriel, Black Ellie, not sure. Pseudo Flood. Unknown. Galmier. Wasnai. William Gore. Westcott. Musgrave. DeWolf. Mistress Whiteflower. I'm going to assume that's not Aaron Peel. Advice from Gavenius Van Loren, 11th Librarian of Hush House, to the one who will come after him. Black Ellie. An uncharacteristically poignant meditation by the edge-long Trog of Marionid. So, I do believe I brought this up earlier, but Gervenius was our predecessor. Niche of the Plaque, who returned to complete what he began. Twelfth Librarian, the Curie of the Isle. This, of course, would be me. I could use whatever I want as my image. Okay. There's a small batch of other books here. Cowley, John Schaller, Zacchaeus, Para, and then I don't think he has anything to do with these. Okay, so, achievement. Oh yeah, this is the first I've ever done this. So, the affair of the Messenger's Casket in the hidden fold of the mountains above the city of Cluj lies the enigmatic relic that they call St. Mihail's coffin. Decades of patient work have finally breached the outer shell. So I know we read that before, but let's see what's going on. Who was the watchman when the light went out in the dark? No, it only works. Sorry, let's try that again. Who was the watchman when the light went out in the dark? No, it only works in back. Try a book with as much mystery moon as their moon interest. This thing in St. Mihail's coffin, it'll get out, no doubt of it. That's its nature. Inevitable as breakfast, but what's interesting to me is where it might choose to hide once it's out. So, in this case, he doesn't actually have that much moon for us to worry about, so let's find a simple moon text, if there is such a thing. There you go, the Viennese Conundra. Inevitable as breakfast. I stand by the maxim. After one sleeps, one eats, or one is eaten. And, of course, it is pleasant to sleep after eating, and very pleasant to sleep after being eaten. One never knows exactly what will happen in the end, eh, librarian? Only what has happened before. Okay. The sea does not regret. Eason Feckery, one-time Secretary Salvant of the Curia of the Isle, responsible for the Curia's healing efforts, writes of his experiences in Brandkrug and hints at his travels elsewhere. The sea does not regret the tide, Feckery writes, for when the tide is past, it leaves its traces on the sand, which traces are the sea's memory. Feckery is a keen fisherman and speaks glowingly of the fish suppers of Brandkrug. He also admits that his enthusiasm for the bounty of the sea has altered him, that before he came to Brandkrug, he consumed only those things found in the earth. I was the greater thereby, but all of us give up what we were to become what we are. Honey, the Comprehensive Guide. Harvey Hattington, pilot polymath confectioner, writes with great enthusiasm about the marvelous work of the bee. Haddington insists that all the primary aspects, nectar, scale, heart, lantern, moth, grail, are possessed by bees and expressed in honey. Clearly, he points out there are only 6 primary aspects, as honeycomb has only 6 angles. Ugal ink is prepared with these techniques, but so is Skinshuck mead, and only Skinshuck mead requires honey. Just as any beverage or foodstuff can be improved with the addition of honey, so any garden is improved with the presence of bees, even those bloody blumberendi. I found out we keep bees at work. I was very, very happy to learn about that. My coworker apparently does not like bees, but all the more for me, I suppose. The Morphe Codex, a priestess of the Sisterhood of the Knot, claims to have discerned the true meaning of the Thunderskin's birth. The writer credits the Red Grail, the Ring Yew, and the Horned Axe, the power the Sisterhood reveres, with agreeing a final treaty between the Hours of the House and the Hours they displaced. The Thunderskin loved the Yew, and the Grail destroyed him, as restitution for the slaying of the Horned Axe's sisters and brothers. The Thunderskin entered the manses through the Peacock Door, a privilege never given to the witch and sister, but then their merit was much less. The writer admits that entry through the Peacock Door is unseemly, but insists that under the circumstances there was no other way. And finally, The Serenity of the Black Wood, an allegorical history of the House of Leith, which is here implied was inspired by the centipede. Serrano Blackwood is an occult alias to this day. The proverbial footloose gathers travelers in a wood and leads them through, but abandons them part way. They find themselves beset by glorious monsters. The travelers discover they can survive if they close their eyes. They adopt a closed eye as their sign, and that they can go unnoticed if they drink from the clear, cold streams. They never forget that proverbial footloose, the centipede, but they never forgive her either. Alright, the moment we have been waiting for. Let's level up Desires and Dissolutions. We will, of course, have another round of this to do, but... At last I approach mastery. While there are some practical advantages to doing this, the primary motivation really is the fact that it was the first skill I was working with. And before I lose it, let's find a memory to keep. So it can be Impulse or Solace. Let's go... Neither of these will help me with Resurgences and Emergences, but I imagine the Impulse will possibly help me more. So I'm going to stick with that. Now that night has fallen, I can rest and perhaps dream on the day's doings. So tomorrow, the main goal for tomorrow will definitely be to level up Desires and Dissolutions. I don't think I have a problem reading the manner in which the alchemist was spared. The skill is now level 8, and its power aspects have also increased. But it's also not like on the very top of my list. Memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. Okay, we'll bring Mrs. Kill in again. It's gonna take some time for Dr. Peel to finish the work anyway. Mrs. Kill's mood always improves when I drop by. Mrs. Kill stands ready to help. You always cheer me up, she says morosely. Now let's actually take some time and work out what I'm going to do with this Resurgences and Emergences, because this is the kind of the last level that I need. So I'm going to go for the easy stuff first. So Beguiling Melody, Salt, Confounding Parable. Are those really... Oh, Sun's Weakness. Technically Taste, but that would involve giving something up, and I'm not quite... What I'm trying to look for right now are the freebies. So I am halfway... I'm sure I've got something. I should probably take the time and actually just read these properly. So Impulse we have already got. Satisfaction we can get from Mrs. Kill. Revelation we can get from Mrs. Kill. Secret Thresholds doesn't give me the Moon or the Grail that I need. Neither does Bittersweet Certainty. Foresight I can get from Mrs. Kill and doesn't help us. Regrets, same story. Hindsight. Intuition works, but I can't. I can also get that for Mrs. Kill. Gossip, same story. Fear, beguiling melodies, we've already got on the list. Contradiction was the one I was looking for. Storm, salt, we already have on the list. Pattern doesn't help. Solace, earth sign, neither of those help. Savage hymns doesn't work. Cheerful ditties doesn't do anything for us. Confounding parables, already on the list. And stolen secrets, technically I can get from Mrs. Kill. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I don't need to worry about getting from Mrs. Kill, so we actually only need 3 from her. Which is good. I think I'll probably just get the 5 that I need no matter what. It's not a tragedy if I wind up with 1 more memory than I really need. So we'll leave the Arab aside to level up resurgences and emergences. Let's go for the Tryst will get us the Beguiling Melody. I don't actually think there's a low cost. Yeah, I'll leave that aside for now. Natan's desk. We'll use the Tryst again. And we'll get the salt. Confounding parable. We'll use the vagabond desk for that. I'm sure I've read 108. I keep forgetting sort of where we are in terms of the overall list, but it's not a major worry. Okay, Sun's weakness. I'm trying to minimize the number of valuable elements of the soul I use up, but I think I've run out of runway because I didn't manage it properly. Okay, that's fine. Let's go, we'll put the core in here. And then I still need Sun's weakness, so we'll use Nona's desk for that. I wonder if collars... I can remember the lantern part. Oh, here we go. And that one needs crack track. Okay, so there is definitely more that I can bring in. But I think I'm going to stick with that for now. So the next big question is going to be, can I get some rights of the roots? And then at some point I'm also going to need to figure out what I need to do with preliminal meter. Because I clearly can't apply it to rights of the roots. I don't hate the idea of using Inks of Power for it, actually. Might have a think about that. Snow doesn't directly help me in terms of... Yeah, there's actually... Yeah, I'm going to ignore the snow. Alright. Got our Bronze Spintria. skill stands ready to help. You always cheer me up, she says morosely. And I think this is actually not a bad time to wrap it up for tonight. I think it's pretty clear what the oh, sorry, there is one other thing that I forgot. I guess I'll use the whist in this case. Well, hang on. Let's double check that I can't do this on its own. So if I try to do the manner in which the alchemist was spared, we take transformations and liberations. I need to add vac. That's view scene. Vac. Metal. We have 12 of the 14 required. So with that in mind, I will use the shaft. Or will I? Because I can't use that one. No, we will use the list. We're on to Old Copper Nose and the softer metal. So again, I'm really loading up on more lessons learned than I know what to do with, if I'm completely honest. But you know, we're early in winter, so that's not that's not the real worry. I don't exactly want. So I'll put it to you this way: I'm not going to turn this into a treadmill. I think probably once I finish the manner in which the alchemist was spared, perhaps I want to take a minute and process the lessons that I already have. It's also worth noting, I'm not 100% sure how the, happens every 9 months or what. I can't remember the exact phrasing for Numa. I don't know if it is possible within the context of the game for there to be a Numa after a Numa. It would be highly unlikely, I suspect. But it's still kind of worth... it's worth acting as if you might get hit by that. So, I would not want to be in Numa with lessons learned like these. The most practical way for me to deal with that, honestly, would just be to throw them into sort of the low-level skills and just sort of see that as an opportunity for me to maybe break them open in a future Numa. But that's really not a good way of thinking about that. But yeah, I'm reasonably happy with how we're positioned. Again, the transformations and liberations are going to take rights of the roots up to 8, so that will give me a higher level nectar than I had previously. We will have top level desires and dissolutions. And again, I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing with preliminal meter, but I am warming to the idea of improving Inks of Power just because, it's an ink lore, right? There's lots of different reasons as to why generating inks would be helpful. But these are all questions that we will deal with next week. So as always, thank you very much for watching. I know this week involved me doing a lot more sort of study in terms of figuring out where I was going to place certain things, but sometimes that's how the game works. And the good news is, once we start making a bit more progress in terms of the lessons and such, that we are going to be getting to a point where I do try to work out maybe a few specific ideas in terms of where I'd like to start placing these in the Tree of Wisdoms. And I don't know if I'll keep a whole lot of elements of the soul running around, or if maybe I'll just try leveling them up. But anyways, that is going to be something that we work on before too long. And we do also want to start thinking about the reason why we have come to Brandkrug. We've not yet encountered any Newman that might be aligned specifically with the artist's goals, but we have a few things that I might want to consider. But anyways, all of that will be dealt with in the future. I hope you all have a lovely weekend, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.